It's Wednesday. What does that mean? It's not just like a throwaway hour. We're not going to do anything. No, we have lots to talk about. We are 4 sleeps away from finding out which 2 teams are destined to meet each other in Arizona at Super Bowl 57. Which 2 teams will be interrupting a Rihanna concert out there in AZ? So as we look ahead to Conference Championship weekend, I want to talk about a few things that I think that we are underreacting to. We always do underreactions every Wednesday, and we're going to hit up a bunch of teams. We will start in the Natty because we like to kick that off that way sometimes on this program, and I think, in fact, I know that we are underreacting to how big the Bengals edition of Hayden Hurst has been. If there was an applause track, I'd hit it right now because he deserves simple love. This offseason, listen, fan favorite, veteran in the locker room, dresses up like the Will Ferrell and Elf, CJ Uzomah, who we know, we love. He leaves to sign with the Jets. That was a bit of a hard one for Bengals fans in a post-Super Bowl loss era to swallow. He was Cincinnati, and replacing him was going to be a bit of a tough task, especially with the front office planning to invest most of their cap in the offensive line and what they needed to do there. The solution, my friends, was bringing in H-squared. Hayden Hurst, who, by the way, had the misfortune of playing behind Kyle Pitts in Atlanta, right? After beginning his career behind who but none other than Mark Andrews out in Baltimore. So this is like, I'm always second fiddle. I'm always the guy behind the guy. Hayden's first shot to really shine, take advantage. We didn't know much about him really until now because he was always in those positions, and finishing 4th among tight ends is insane. Lots of tight end play was incredible week in, week out this year. He hauled in, this is more insane, 76.3% of his targets, okay? But the win over the Bills was the icing on the cake, the cherry on top, right? This was a statement, people. Putting up a season-high 59 yards. This hurdle was so good. He hurdles his way to first downs, converting 4 of them on the day. The hurdle kind of is my favorite thing I've ever seen in a long time, though. And then this touchdown that you're seeing, right? He scores this on a sweet little double move to put the Bengals up 14-0. Hurst went off. His biggest performance of the year in the biggest game of the year. So far, of course, and we'll see what happens this week and potentially 2 weeks from then, because not only is he about to play in his very first AFC Championship game, remember, this is a chance to settle a score. Listen, DJ Reader don't want to give me any bulletin board material, but there's a score to be settled with Justin Reid. There just is. And in case you need a refresher, and I'm sure you don't, here's what Justin Reid had to say leading up to the first game between the Bengals and Chiefs this year, and that was back in week 13.
You know, and they have 88 Higbee. No, it's not Higbee. It was with the Rams. What's his name?
Not Higgins.
It is Higgins.
Yeah,
It's Higgins. Higbee and Higgins.
Yeah.
They're going to have him back. He's a very talented receiver, too. More of a finesse type of guy. Not the best blocker. I'm going to lock him down. You know, straight up. So, you know, we're going to have to come out of the game, like I said, play our best game and go out and do it.
In any other week, I would put this to rest and not even talk about it. But because I know that the Bengals are feeding off of disrespect and they're looking for things to feed them, I'm going to feed into this just for that reason. The disrespect, he thinks he's talking about Higgins. No, he's talking about Hayden Hurst. That's who he's directing all of that. I don't know, what is he about, finesse thing. And here's, Hayden, by the way, has a long memory. He did not forget. Take a listen to this.
I laughed a little bit. I don't know. I mean, you could pick anybody in this locker room, but you know, I feel like I'm the last person you probably want to talk about because I have a long memory.
Nah! I'm glad Hayden has that long memory because he wasn't that noticeable in that game because he got hurt. He hurt his calf 9 plays into the game, and we didn't get to see this sort of play that we saw last week in Buffalo on the field in that matchup. So I'm super grateful and gratitude on a Wednesday, putting it out there that we get one more chance on Sunday to see Hayden, Justin Reid, all of that, just Hayden in an AFC title game for the first time that should have no shortage of drama. All right, that's something that I think we're underreacting to. What a good addition. Well outperforming what my expectations were for this Bengals squad and Hayden Hurst individually as a tight end in this offense. All right, sticking with that AFC matchup, I think we are underreacting to something that is weird and will change, likely to change. Crazy that it hasn't changed. This is a statistic. I love Chris Jones. Everybody knows it. Chiefs, he's an all-pro defensive tackle, 15.5 sacks. He does not have, somehow, a sack in 13 career postseason games. This is crazy. It's just weird. There's no bias. This is one of the most prolific pass rushers on the interior that this game has ever seen. Just this season, if you take a look, he finished with, like I said, 15.5, most among defensive tackles, 4th in the NFL overall. This made him the first interior D lineman in NFL history to record multiple seasons with 15+ sacks, okay? And this morning, he was revealed alongside Nick Bosa and Micah Parsons as finalists for the Defensive Player of the Year. Well-deserved. He's an absolute monster, should be feared, and I feel like he doesn't get enough credit for how dominant he's been over the course of his 7 years in the league, purely because a guy named Aaron Donald exists and plays the same position. It's kind of like Hayden Hurst playing behind guys. I think he's a bit in the shadow of Donald, and it's not that cool. But Chris really is, if you're looking at his NFL journey, he's probably not worried about this, but I'm intrigued by it. He's carving out a Hall of Fame worthy career of his own, right? And these things matter. And that's what makes this weird postseason 13-game drought super strange. So I'm sure he doesn't like that we're talking about it because he talked about it last week. And I don't anticipate any more questions leading up to Sunday because it's going to be hard to top the answer he gave reporters about this. Listen.
I thought you was going to dodge the question. Unfortunately, I have, 10 to 11 playoff games, no sacks. That's not a huge priority, but I'm going to make sure I get one this go around just to shut you guys up.
Okay, so we're talking about the Bengals side, right? They're motivated, they feel slighted, they feel like underdogs. In this matchup, are the Bengals in that locker room? Do they really feel that way? Or are they going to let loose a little bit? Like, it's Mahomes, he's not 100%. We've taken care of business against this team, we're okay. Whereas you have a guy like Chris Jones, and I'm talking about Chris Jones as a single game-wrecking player on a team that needs somebody to step up because they do have something working against them in this huge game, hosting the AFC Championship game. Is this the kind of stuff, not the kind of motivation that's going to make Chris go next level? I think it is. And it's going to be on his mind this week, especially given how close he came in last year's AFC title game. Do you remember this? Are we kidding? 3rd and 7, 4th quarter. Jones had Burrow. So close. Not once, but twice. And Joe, my gosh, this is insane. You got it again! No, wasn't able to do it, okay? Man. He was able to slither away somehow that sneaky little Burrow and pick up a first down in that one. It was one of the most and more memorable moments of the epic comeback for Bengals fans. So I'm sure Jones wants to erase that this Sunday. And honestly, it's kind of hard not to root for him to just get one and end the narrative. But whatever happens, given all that Chris Jones does to better the players around him on this D-line and everything he's done to contribute to the Chiefs' success in recent years, I don't want to see anyone trying to use this bizarre statistic to define him in any way. It is truly bizarre. And congrats on being nominated for Defensive Player of the Year, Chris. That is incredible, and I hope you take it home. That's amazing. And we could do yoga in the offseason on our show if you ever wanted to, like we did on the sidelines in the preseason. Just saying. Lastly, and you guys can tweet Up and Adam Show, lastly, I think we're underreacting to the brilliance and the fortunate decision-making of Howie Roseman. He's a genius, okay? I don't know if it's because he won one and it's like almost a Mahomesian thing where we're like, oh, that's crazy. There's a no-look pass. And it's normalized. Like Howie makes crazy, savvy moves and it's just, we don't care about it anymore. It's watered down somehow. We have to take a second here and not allow that to happen. And it is time to point out what Howie has done with this football team once again. And we want to start with selecting Jalen Hurts. I don't want to take too much time in the history books here, but 2020 second round, we all remember the controversy well documented. You have Carson Wentz. What is this? He's never going to be a starting NFL quarterback. What's the point of taking him and putting that pressure on Carson? Don't do this. Well, we know how that has played out with the Eagles trading Wentz away and Hurts turning into an MVP caliber quarterback. So that move in and of itself, brilliant. Beyond the genius of picking Hurts, his selection then opens a door for a masterclass of wheeling and dealing that has built the foundation of Eagles championship roster situations. And let me explain. The Eagles, they dish Wentz to Indy for a first and a third, right? And I'm not going to get into the minutia of everything about the deal, but Howie made a flurry of deals after that involving those 2 draft picks and flipped them into this. Yeah, it deserves some jazzy music. A.J. Brown, Devontae Smith, who's been crushing it this postseason. Are they here without his play? I don't know. The 10th overall pick in this upcoming draft, okay? Courtesy of the Saints. And a 2024 second rounder. Okay, let that sink in for a second. What you just saw there and what I just said, that is a direct result, ipso facto, whatso have you, of the Carson Wentz deal. That's brilliant. And if it wasn't enough, he went out this offseason and he stole Hassan Reddick on a 3-year deal, okay? Hassan finished second in the league with 16 sacks this year and absolutely wrecked shop in that win on Saturday night over the Giants. They're not here without him. He stole him. Also scooped up James Bradbury, the Giants cap casualty who played his way into an All-Pro nod this season and picked off Daniel Jones in the divisional round win. And he's now the mayor of Shutdown City, according to our very own Darius Butler. How crazy is this? And how he lands the best nickel DB in the game, C.J. Gardner-Johnson, in another deal with New Orleans. Saints fans, cover your ears. Earmuffs, Nola. I don't want to gloss over the hire of Nick Sirianni either. Like, no. Who thought that was a great move at the beginning? What? I talked to Boston Scott yesterday. Well, we talked about Nick Sirianni. I'll show you that a little bit later this week. But remember that opening press conference? The flowers and that stuff that came after that, okay? He's been a home run hire for this organization. 1 game from playing in a Super Bowl, coaching a Super Bowl. So, Eagles fans, all NFL fans, appreciate Howie Roseman. You are allowed, in my opinion, you guys can tell me how you feel. You're allowed a Jalen Reagor. No offense to Jalen Reagor. You're allowed a Jalen Reagor every now and then when you're able to consistently get on base, score runs, and hit on talent the way that he has. If the Eagles go win another Super Bowl under this regime with a totally different quarterback and core group of players, okay? We need to start talking about Howie Roseman was one of the greatest personnel guys in the history of this game. It is bonkers what he's been able to do. And with all the talent Howie's gotten, comes pressure to cash in this season. I just want to note this because we're thinking about what's on, like what is up for grabs is this? Is Mahomes a dynasty? Is Burrow going to be put into the same world as the Mahomeses of the world? When you consider how much pressure is on Roseman, these players, Jalen Hurts, all of Sirianni, the Birds have 9 starters set to hit free agency. I came across this when I was talking to TJ Edwards because I was like, oh man, you're a free agent. I thought to myself, well, shoot, Fletcher Cox, James Bradbury, who I just talked about, Miles Sanders. Man, there are some, this is a long list, people. There's tough decisions for Howie to make. Let's trust that he makes them well. By the way, is he going to have to give Jalen Hurts an extension as well? Probably. I trust Howie to figure this out, and that just shows you the window that this team is in and the pressure amount. Are you going to have Jason Kelce? Is he going to play again? Probably not. You're going to have to deal with that next year as well. So there's a lot to get to whether or not you're cheering on the Eagles or whoever this weekend. Who do you think Gronk is cheering for? I feel like Gronk and Sirianni would vibe together. Gronk and Nick Sirianni. Oh, don't look so bummed, Rob. Oh, no. We'll turn that frown upside down wearing your Dolphins colors. We love it.